Hi there, welcome to a series of videos called English for Emerson. This channel is the greatest English education channel on the entire internet. YouTube, Google, Amazon, I don't even know. On this channel you're going to get history, English, comedy. To all my millions of viewers out there, welcome to English for Emerson. I am happy to see you today. You know, you could write your comments in the comment section, but because this is a children's television channel, a YouTube channel, the comments are turned off. So you're just gonna, this is a one-way conversation. I talk to you and I can't hear you. And that's just the way I like it. So, let's get down to business with today's lesson. I can't hardly wait. This is going to be one of the best ever. Today, we're going to ask a question. We've been working on questions and answers. Today, we're going to ask a great question that you could ask to just about anybody in the whole world, and they'd probably have an answer. Today's question is, what's your favorite movie? That's a good question. A really good question. You can ask it to anybody. Right now you need a piece of paper with lines on it going side to side and something to write with. Here we go. Brand new question. What's your favorite movie? We're starting with a capital W. Diagonal line going down through the midline. Oh, that's kind of crooked. That's crooked as a dog's hind leg. Down to the bottom. Now, before we get too much further along, I got to tell you, there's something really important about this channel. We do our letters with 3 lines, top, middle, and bottom. I want you to know, this is a mess that I got up here. I got dotted lines. I got pink lines. I got red lines. I got gray lines. I got black lines. I got this mess down here. But the most important thing is not what I'm doing. The most important thing is what you're doing. I want you to have 3 lined letters where your capital letter goes from the top line through the middle line down to the bottom line. The reason that we do it that way is to keep the letters sized correctly. Once you get older and your English writing has progressed beyond this stage, then you can forget about the lines, but we'd use this to keep them sized correctly. So when I make that first line, I'm going from the top through the middle down to the bottom. I'm taking up the space between 3 lines, okay? Now, from the bottom, I'm going on the diagonal up above the midline. I'm just going to stop there. If you want to go to the top, that's your business. If you want to stop at the middle, I don't care about that either. Then we go back down. Okay? And then we go back up again. All the way to the top. 4. A capital W. There it is. Now, next letter. Believe it or not, there's a silent H in what's. A lot of times, W is followed by an H. And that's the example here. Can I explain why? No, I cannot explain why. It's just how it is. Straight line down from the top. Now, our first letter of the sentence is a capital. From here on out, we're going to go lowercase. The lowercase h starts at the top line. Then we have one hill to the middle and down. Do you see the reason for having the 3 lines? Because that's how I know how high to make this hill on my H. It goes right up to the midline. If I didn't have that midline there, I wouldn't really know how high to make the hill on my H. But because I have it there, it just makes it easy. Easy. Okay, what's? Next letter is an A. An A can make the sound what's. It's not waits, it's what's. Letter A can make a lot of different sounds. Here we go. Starts like a lowercase c. Then I connect it up from the midline down to the bottom. That's not that bad. That's not that bad. What's? You can probably hear the next letter if you say it to yourself a few times. What's? 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 It's a T. You can just barely hear it in there after the A. What's? Tsk, tsk, tsk. I can just hear it. My lowercase t begins below the top line. About like that. It kind of makes a groaning sound. My pen is groaning. Okay. Then I cross it at the midline. Isn't it nice that we have that midline there to know where to make our cross? I think it is. There we go. And now we've completed the word what. But this sentence starts with the word what's. And it is done with a thing called an apostrophe. I'll write the apostrophe word right up here. Apostrophe. Apostrophe is something that connects two words and makes them one. The two words, I'm going to write them right up here, are going to be what is. What is your favorite movie? But most people don't say it that way. That would be proper English. If you talk to an old English woman from old England, she might say, incidentally, what is your favorite movie? She would say, what is? But in regular English, modern English, most people are going to say, what's your favorite movie? They shorten it up. They don't do it properly. So this apostrophe between the top and the middle line is going to combine the words what and is. What is combined into what's. Now I got to put in my S. The I is kicked out by the apostrophe. Pow! He's kicked out. Now we put in the S, starting below the midline, up to the midline, working our way around. That's what's. It's two words combined into one. What is shortened into what's by the apostrophe. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, just trust me, it's going to. And why am I teaching us to do English improperly, like not proper English? Why am I not teaching it like old English? What is your favorite movie? Well, the reason I'm teaching it this way, what's your favorite movie, is because, number one, we hear it that way when people talk. Unless you're talking to some old lady from old England, you're not going to hear people say, what is your favorite movie? You're going to hear them say, what's your favorite movie? So it gets you used to writing it the way you hear it. Also, when you're reading books, you're going to see these apostrophes all the time. If you don't learn how to write them and see them here, it's going to be hard to read, real hard to read, because books are full of apostrophes. You got to get used to it. It's just how things are. What's? Okay, we got that out of the way. Finally, we're done with what's. Now we're on to your. Your is going to start with a lowercase y. We're going to come right over here and make a diagonal from the midline down to the bottom line. And then we're going to go back up to the midline and go through, coming back through the bottom line and going down below the bottom line. So important. You'll notice that the W is all the way to the top. So is the H. That's a lowercase letter, but it's all the way to the top. They're all the way up. Most lowercase letters are down below the mid. They're down below the midline. Down here. I'm down here. I want your Y to not go up here. I want it to be down here. Do you follow me? If your lowercase y is going up in this area, you're doing it wrong. I want it below the midline. You'll also notice that of all these letters here, the lowercase y is the only one that goes below the bottom line. Some letters, only a few of them, go below the bottom line. Now, I just love it to do that because I love to go out of the lines. It makes me, I don't know why, it makes me feel so good to go out of the lines. Oh my gosh. I can't wait to get to a Y because then I get to go out of the lines. Now, your. Next letter in your is going to be an O. Believe it or not. Starting at the midline, make it a counterclockwise circle. That letter goes everything's between the midline and the lower line. Then we're going to do a U starting at the midline. Down to the lower line, back up. You can stop there, but I make a little tail on my U. I go from the midline and go down here to touch the bottom. And then, notice none of these letters is going up here. Everything on your is below the midline. Don't go up there. Your, we got an R here. That's a beautiful word right there. What's your? That's beautiful. Very well done. Your. You know, if you sounded it out, it would be your. 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 But it kind of goes together. The ingredients kind of form together to make just your. Okay? Favorite. I'm going down here to the next set of lines. I start with a lowercase f. Hard letter to do. We start between the top and the middle and make kind of a fish hook going up. You see that? And then we cross it right at the midline. That's not that bad. Not that bad. Favorite. Do you hear the A? Favorite. I hear it. We start it like a lowercase c. We bring it down. My goodness. I bet you can hear the next letter in favorite. Fave. Can you hear that? Fave. Favorite. Fave. I hear a V. I hope you do too. V is a beautiful letter. Straight down, or not straight down, diagonal down from the midline down to the bottom. And then we bounce right back up. That's a nice one. Fave. Then, favor. I hear an O-R. Favor. O-R. I hope I'm not going too fast for you. Favor. Will you do me a favor? Go to the store and get me a fresh cup of coffee. Will you do me a favor? That's how I spell favor. But we're not done with it. We're gonna lengthen that word. Favorite. Favorite is the thing that you like the best. Favorite. I don't hear it when I say it, favorite, but believe it or not, there's an I there next. Favorite. Favorite. It doesn't sound like an I in there, but it's there. Right after the R, we're doing a lowercase I. Straight down. That's not very straight. And then a dot above the midline. Favorite. Do you hear the next letter? Favorite. I heard it right there. Favorite. I hear the T. Straight line down below the top line. Cross it right at the midline. And believe it or not, we're not done. At the end of that word, there's a silent E. Favorite. E, lowercase, starts between the midline and the bottom line. I go up to the midline and wrap it. Beautiful. Lowercase E. I love it. Ah, yes. Now, if you're new to this channel, and I hope that you are, if you're watching for the first time, I want to welcome you. Welcome you with my other millions of viewers throughout this whole universe that love this channel. This silent E is so important. I talk about it all the time. A lot of times, words in English end with the E, but you don't hear it. You don't hear him. Favorite. It's not favorite-y. Nope. You don't hear him. I don't even know why they do it in English. They end a lot of words with a silent E. And the way that we know it's silent is that there's other vowels in this word before it. If an E is at the end of the word and there are other vowels in the word before it, it's going to be silent. Are there other vowels in this word, favorite? I see 3 of them. I hope that you do too. I see an A is a vowel, an O is a vowel, and an I is a vowel. Favorite. There's 3 other vowels before the E. Therefore, he's going to be especially silent. Because, it's not just one vowel, there's 3 of them. He's going to be real silent. He's going to be very quiet. Okay, what's your favorite? And now we got the last word. And I don't think I got enough room to put it over here on this board. And like last time, I had to write the question mark way over here on the border. I don't want to do it that way. So I think I'm out of room. Now I'm going to have to come down here. I bet on your paper you got enough room to write movie here. If you don't, come down to the next line. I'm coming down. Movie. I start with the letter M. Can you hear the letter M in movie? Movie. Moo. Moo. Sounds like a cow. Moo. Movie. Start at the midline. Go down to the bottom. And then we got 2 hills for movie. 1 and 2. Beautiful. M. Beautiful. Now we got moo. That's going to be done with an O. You'd think, well, why wouldn't it be with a U? I don't know. It's just done with an O. It's just done with an O. At the midline, counterclockwise, beautiful O. Oh, that might be the best one I've done in a long time. That's beautiful. I'll bet you can hear the next letter in movie. Move. Move it on over. Move it on over. Do you hear? Move. I hear the V. I hear the V. Move. Diagonal from the midline down to the bottom, and then from the bottom up to the top. Move. And then move E. Believe it or not, movie ends with an I-E. I don't hear an I. I don't know if you do. I don't hear it. I didn't make this up. I didn't invent this stuff. I'm just teaching it to you. I didn't make it up. It's an I-E to end a word movie. Straight line down from the middle, and a dot, and then a silent E. It's sort of silent. I don't understand it. why you'd end the word movie with an IE, but it should be two E's together. That would make sense, but this is English. The English is tough for this reason. It doesn't make sense. It ends with an IE. I'm going with my lowercase e. I go up to the midline, wrap it around. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. Movie. What's your favorite movie? Obviously, this is a question, so we have to end it with a question mark. Not a period, a question mark. Question mark goes up here. We start between the top and the middle line. We go up to the middle line. I'm up to the top line. I'm sorry, up to the top line. We come down through the middle and stop. Just like that. Question mark is unlike anything else. It doesn't look like anything else in English that I can think of. It's its whole own thing. Make a dot at the bottom line. That's a beautiful job. What's your favorite movie? Great question to ask somebody. And now is my time. You know, the great thing about English for Emerson channel is you get education, you get history, you get comedy. I am the comedy. This is the English. And now you're going to get the history lesson. Do you know that pictures, here's a picture of my dad, Emerson's grandpa Chuck. He's got a fish right there. It's a bass. You know, pictures are only 200 years old. We don't have pictures of anybody who lived more than 200 years ago. Therefore, like George Washington, the first president of the United States, that's back in the late 1700s. 250 years ago, he was president of the United States, approximately. Well, I guess that's not quite 250 years ago, 240 some years ago. We have no pictures of George Washington. None. Because the camera had not yet been invented. 200 years ago, someone invented the first camera. So, naturally, people started getting their picture taken. At first, it was very expensive, and the pictures weren't very good. But we have some of those pictures from a couple hundred years ago. Eventually, somebody figured out how to make a thing called a movie. And that was where you took a bunch of pictures and you put them on a film. It was a long film that went around a reel. It wound up all the pictures in a long, on a row, almost like on a belt or a ribbon. It's called a film. It's a long line of pictures. And then they put it through this thing called a projector. And the projector would shoot light through the film, through the pictures, and it would go onto a big white screen. So when I was a kid, when you went to the movie theater, you would be watching the movie up on the big screen in front of you. But sometimes you could turn and look back, and you could see that there was a box at the back of the movie theater, and you could see a light that was shining out of that box and going onto the screen. And you could see something going around in circles up there. You could hear it too. It was just kind of like this purring like a cat. There was a reel of pictures that was being fed through in front of this light, and the light was shining through those pictures and shining the image up on the screen all the way at the end of the theater. It was a very, very powerful light. And inside the theater, it was pitch black. There was no lights on. The only light was this light that was shining across the whole room up onto the projector in the front. Now, do you understand how it got the word movie? the pictures were moving. It was a moving picture show. Movie. The pictures were not still like this. They weren't still like this. The pictures moved because there was many different pictures taken, all one after the other, and then they taped them all together, and then they ran it through the projector. They were like kind of transparent. I don't know how to explain it too good. And the light would shine through it, and so it looked like the picture was moving because there was thousands of different pictures that ran through the projector and the light shined through, and the pictures the pictures moved. The first movies looked like pictures that were moving, and the people were like, can you imagine when the first movies came out, I don't know, maybe 100 years ago or something, people like all would go into the theater and watch the pictures move. Ooh, the pictures are moving. It's a movie. It's moving. It's a movie. Well, naturally, things got more sophisticated over time. And nowadays, we don't have the thing in the back of the theater with the light shining through it. It's all done digitally on the screen, like you're watching now. It's all in the actual screen itself that it's happening. But it used to be, it was on a film that got a light shine through it, and the pictures were actually looked like they were moving. Well, anyway, movies are kind of on the way down now. They're not really as good as they used to be, in my opinion, because everything now is all done on, like I'm doing this. It's all done on computer. There's no pictures anymore that are taken by there's no stuntmen anymore, and everything is done on computer now. It's a different age. It used to be many years ago, maybe I'm guessing 40, 50 years ago, that movies were the biggest thing that there was. It was just like, oh my God, when a new movie came out, people just had a fit. So when Star Wars came out, the first Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and Darth Vader, I mean, people would come out of the movie theater practically crying. They were so amazed by it and so moved by it that they would come out of the theater practically crying. It's like they'd been transported to another world. And you had to pay to go back in and see it. You couldn't go home and watch it on YouTube. You couldn't go home and watch it on TV. That was it. It was over. You couldn't rent it. No. To go back into that world of Star Wars, you had to pay. And you had to go back into the theater and watch it again. And some people did. They would watch that movie, they'd come out crying, oh, it's so wonderful, oh, it's so wonderful. They would go and they'd buy another ticket. They'd go back in again and watch it again and go back into that world. Because you couldn't go and get on a computer at home and, no. You had to go back into the theater to watch it again. Now, this is a long-winded answer to the question. But I'm not even going to answer this question today because I'm going to do it next time. You have to wait. I'm going to tell you in the next lesson what my favorite movie is, and I want you to think about it. I got something in my teeth. Get out of there. I want you to think about it. Before we do our next lesson, what's your favorite movie? Do you have one? I don't know. We're going to find out. There's English for Emerson for the day. For everybody. Come back next time, and we're going to write down the answer. And we're going to find out what your favorite movie is. And you're going to find out what mine is. Okay, see you next time on English for Emerson.